Hello everyone. Today we are going to be working through building our characters for our short stories, and we're going to be rotating through some stations that give us some insight over who our characters actually are. If you started this class correctly, if you did your job right, hopefully by now you have some ideas, some different types of characters you would like to have in your story. And what we're going to do is we are going to build off of those characters, those initial thoughts, and start really creating the characters themselves through these stations. There are 8 stations total, and as we work through them today, I'm going to have you reference back to this video, and I'm going to go over the directions for each station that you work through. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the actual characters you're going to be creating. This you should have as a packet in front of you, and here is kind of like a checklist over the different stations. You can just cross them off here in these boxes, put a little check mark by it once you've gone through that station. But first I want us to read the directions together here. So here it says create sketches and or adjective floods that describe the main characters or main character who will exist in whatever story you write. Please note that these sketches must be detailed enough that you can really visualize what you will be writing about. So as we work through these stations, I want you to be as detailed as possible so you have a really good idea about who your characters are. Don't forget to include adjectives. For example, with Max as my main character here, maybe he's smart, cunning, and crafty. But at the same time, he's also honest and independent and brave. Maybe some things like how he looks is tall and skinny. Maybe has green eyes, he has rough hands, or maybe he's kind of awkward and has some really long limbs. Above all, though, what I want you to do through these stations is you need to make these characters seem real to your reader. We are going to be writing short stories within the genre of realistic fiction. So, in order to really utilize these stations and do them to where we're going to get the most use out of them, we're going to have to describe some of the things about our character, like the psychological descriptions, like what's going on internally in them with them, the physical descriptions, thinking about what he or she is thinking or what they say or what they do, how they say things. Are they really direct or are they loud or things like that? What do other characters think about them or say about them? What is it like in their environment? How do they get a reaction from others, or how do they get a reaction from themselves? So, in order to do these stations right, I want you to really think about the big picture of your character. Most specifically, I want you to realize that characters need to be convincing. We're using realistic fiction, so they need to be consistent, meaning if you pick character traits about them, they should stay the same throughout unless they're going to be dynamic, which we'll get to in that station. They need to be motivated and they need to be lifelike. So they should resemble real people. So with that, let's talk about exactly what you're going to do at each station. Welcome to station number 1. In the first few stations, we are going to go through steel, speech, thoughts, effects on others, actions, and looks. In this first station, we are going to be working with speech. So at this station, you are going to look at the scenario I have in the gray box, or the situation your character might be going through, and I want you to think about some things that character may say. I'm looking for at least 3 different responses your characters will say to each of the following situations I have listed out in those organizers. So, for example, the first one says your character has a brutal fight with his or her best friend. What are the words they would say in that argument? So, if I maybe am basing off a character about me personally, and I have another character like my sister, I can think about what would they say to each other? What would those characters say in the middle of a fight, in a brutal fight? So sometimes, like, I'll yell at my sister and say, like, she's mean and she's like, how dare she do these things? And she'll yell right back at me, like, saying, I hate you, or think about in those times of stress or when they're anxious about something, if they're really angry about something, what would those characters say? Now, there's other situations that you're going to work through and think about what those characters might do when they have those different emotions pop up. At this point in station number 1, those were the directions I want you to think. I want you to pause there, and you'll continue this video to start station number 2. So go ahead and click pause here, and I want you to get to work on your station number 1 organizer. Welcome to station number 2. Within Steel, we have the next letter is thoughts, T for thoughts. And what you're going to do is we have kind of a brainstorm um, table here where you have 4 different thought bubbles. For each character that you've come up with, I want you to think about what they would be thinking about if they were happy or excited. So that's going to be in one thought bubble. Or if they were sad, if they were calm, or even curious, maybe. You can choose between those 2 feelings. Or anxious or nervous. So you're going to brainstorm some different thoughts your characters might be thinking when experiencing those different emotions. At this point, I want you to pause with station number 2 and begin working on your organizer for station number 2. Welcome to station number 3, which is effects on other characters. Remember, we're working through Steel in these stations, and so this is the E in Steel, effects on others. At this station, you will write out 3 responses each of your characters will have when a specific character does something of your choosing. So for example, if I was talking about the Frozen characters, and my first character is Elsa, and she ran away from home, how would Anna respond or Anna respond? So I'm going to list out my character that's doing something, and it can be of your choosing. So maybe they run away from home, or maybe they get in a fight with their mom, or maybe they won the lottery. How would the different characters respond to what that character did? At this point, I'm going to let you begin working on the effects on other characters station. And so go ahead and pause the video, and I will see you on the, I'll talk to you in the next station. Welcome to station number 4, which is actions. We've done this activity recently with your teachers getting stuck in an elevator, but now I want you to think about your characters. If your characters were stuck in an elevator, what are 5 different things they will do? So now we're not talking about what would they say or what would they think. This is doing. So what actions could they be doing in that elevator amongst the other characters too? If they were all stuck together in an elevator, what would they be doing? At this point, I'm going to have you pause station number 4, and we're going to move, you're going to work through that organizer, and I will talk to you in the next station for station number 5. Welcome to station number 5, which is all about looks. At this station, you will draw what the characters look like, and you will write down adjectives that describe their characters. So here you're going to list out the character's name, and you're going to draw out what the character may look like. So think about what type of clothes they might wear. What does their hair look like? Do they have like specific things to express themselves? So maybe some accessories, or what would they have on them? Like if it's a student and they have a backpack. Then you're going to jot down, I'm going to say maybe try to get 3 to 5 different adjectives about those characters. If you had to describe their personality, what would it be like? Now I'm going to have you pause at station number 5 and get to work. I will talk to you in a moment about station number 6. Station number 6, first off, welcome, is all about direct to indirect characterization. So we're going to be working with the text of Teacher Tamer. Below, I have on your papers a whole bunch of different passages that we're going to work through. And each of these have examples of direct characterization. So it's very clear this is what the character is feeling. They told you directly the information about the character. But then I want you to show me Like use other words. If I had to describe, for example, in the first example, life in fifth grade was never good when Mrs. Wessex was angry. Lately, her anger seemed to erupt daily. If I had you create a scene where Mrs. Wessex was angry and erupting with her anger, what would it look like? Describe that scene. Okay. I'll have you work through the next prompts, and then you'll get to move on to station number 7. Welcome to station number 7. Here, you are going to be working with indirect characterization and changing over to direct characterization. So below on your paper are some passages from Teacher Tamer. Each of these passages are using indirect characterization, so they're showing you about the characters. They're describing the scenes of what's happening. And you have to kind of figure out what exactly are these characters feeling. In the station, you will need to write a short piece of writing that describes the character through direct characterization. That means you are going to describe what the characters are feeling. So this might be a sentence or two, but you're going to kind of sum up what do you think those characters are feeling based off of the text. I'll have you work through those different prompts now, and in a moment you'll get to move on to station number 8. Welcome to station number 8. You by now should have some ideas of different characters that you would like to have for your story. What you're going to do here is think about those characters that you've created. Which ones would be dynamic versus static? You need to have at least one of each. So in our brainstorm, we've come up with 4 different characters. What I would like to see you do is to decide what characters would be dynamic and how would they change over time. What plan do you have for the character? Like, what are they going to go through? What might happen in the story? And you don't have to stick with this, but this is a brainstorm, and I want you to start coming up with some ideas. Or what characters will stay static? So which ones do you see probably not changing over time? Are you like which ones are going to always have stay the same personality, same motivations, and probably a little less details about them. I'm going to have you work through these organizers now, and when you are done, you're going to move on to station number 1.